Planning to start anew. I am not op. Original post by you, Itchy Shock 7382 in R. True off my chest. Trigger warnings. Mention of infidelity. Less than. Mood spoilers. Wholesome. Less than. And NBSP. Moving on after my ex and sister October 18, 2023. I am 28. Ages are current. Started dating my ex. F27. 8 years ago now. We broke up 4 years ago after she cheated on me because she thought I was emotionally checked out of the relationship. Anyway, that's not the point of this post. At the time we started going out, she had just received custody of her 8-year-old sister. After their parents passed. While I do resent my ex for cheating, she has also been a very good guardian to S and has worked very hard to make sure S's needs are met. When we were going out, a lot of our dates were frequently at her house. Since she couldn't just leave S to fend for herself, they were basically dinner dates and movie nights and were often joined by her sister, which I didn't mind. Besides, a lot of the time we'd end up staying up way past S's bedtime. So we would eventually get some alone time to just chill and talk, and you know what? Over the 4 years that we dated, her sister became my sister. I started to help pay for things and chauffeur and show up to her events with or without my ex there. Both of us strived to basically assume as much of a parental role as we could. Though I recognize I'm not S's father or her brother or anything close to it. On that note, her discipline was handled entirely by my ex, since our dynamic only really allowed me to give S a stern talking to. But that was the limit of my power. Nevertheless, S and I developed a very close relationship, and it really felt like I was her older brother. When my ex and I broke up, I asked her if I could still continue to be there for S. She thought about it for a few days and then agreed with a few conditions. Basically that I could no longer come and go to their house as I pleased. She and I decided that it would be best to seem amicable for S, though we would explain to her that we were no longer together. I think it was the next day that I sat S down, who was 12 at this time, and told her that her sister and I had had a talk and decided that we weren't compatible and that it was a mutual feeling, which is true. But obviously isn't the full story. S cried during that talk because she was really worried I was just going to disappear. But after I reassured her I continued my responsibilities throughout the week, she returned back to normal. This continued for another 4 years. S is now 16. About a month ago, S decided to try a new look for school. Since I took her to school in the mornings, I saw it the first time she wore it. It was, well, slutty. She was pretty clearly going for the nerdy, e-girl aesthetic that's become popular over the past few years. But she decided to go for the thirst trappy, showing too much skin version. Of course, at the end of the day it's her choice. But I did want to make sure she was at the very least aware of the vibe she was giving off because, let's be real, even if she just thought it was cute or pretty, that's not how a bunch of high school dudes would see it. I basically asked her if that was what she really wanted to wear. She said yes. And then I asked her if she actually knew what the outfit really looked like and the vibe it was giving off. We went back and forth for a little bit. I never got angry or raised my voice, though I'm sure my expression changed. She, however, did get progressively more angry. Eventually it culminated with her telling me that I'm not her dad. I'm not her brother. And she doesn't even know why I stick around since I should have nothing to do with them. Can't say that didn't hurt. Either way, I just said okay. And we got in the car and I drove her to school. I've always been a very straightforward and blunt person. Hell, the most indirect I've ever been in my life was probably the conversation about her outfit. Through the years, my demeanor has rubbed off on S. So that outburst seemed pretty indicative of the way she truly thought about me. I did consider that it could be a spur-of-the-moment mistake. But given the way we approach things, that seemed really unlikely, especially considering her coldness if not outright hostility in the days and weeks that followed. After that argument, I took those words to heart and started to make plans to start anew. Still needed transportation and whatnot, so I couldn't just drop everything and leave, even though that's what she wanted. Instead, I made sure to put things in order. I talked with my ex about what I intended to do, and she said that it was my decision and that as long as S is cared for, that she supports me. Over these past few weeks, I've done a few things. First, I bought S a car. She got her license a few months ago, but they only have one car. It's nearing 2 decades old, but it's in good shape and has had minimal problems. Thank you, Toyota. Obviously, I didn't want this to be something S felt guilty over or turn into something I could hold over her head. So I transferred everything into my ex's name since she would be paying for S's insurance anyway. She gifted her the car last week, and I heard from my ex that she was extremely happy. Up to that point, I had still been chauffeuring S around with great awkward tension. Initially I tried to talk about the things I normally did, but she wasn't entertaining that, so instead I just became her driver and gave quick hellos and goodbyes and whatnot. Luckily, she won't have to deal with me anymore. With S's most imminent need met, I decided to pen a letter. A little corny, I'm aware, but I still feel bad about deciding to up and leave after these years. Even if that's what S wants. I sent that off yesterday. This isn't verbatim, but the sentiments were, I'm sorry about the way I handled that conversation, and I apologize for any other misgivings you have about me. I heard about X giving you a car, and I'm happy that she's such a good sister to you. Thankfully, she will continue to be there when I am not. I truly wish you the best. I said a few other things and the letter went on a little ways. But those were the big sentiments. Now I just need to find work in my field. Thankfully, it's about time I received a large promotion, so this actually comes at a decent time. It'll help that my job is pretty in demand, even if I'll likely have to move some distance for it. That's it. Thanks for reading, I guess. I'm glad a place like this exists. It feels nice to talk about this stuff since I've never said it all in one place before. Keep living. And NBSP. Update: moving on after my ex and sister, October 22, 2023. Exactly one person DM'd me for any update. So here this is. It was deleted from True off my chest, so instead I'm doing this here. Things have basically 180 feet D since my original post. I sent the letter off and S received it yesterday. From there I got a flurry of phone calls from her. It turns out that, contrary to what I thought, she did not actually want me to get out of her life or leave or anything of that sort. It was admittedly hard to understand her on the phone through her crying. But she did a lot of apologizing for what she said, though I'm still not sure she needed to lol. I offered to talk it out in person and she agreed. I went to their place and sat with S for a while. Basically just hugging her the whole time and telling her it was okay and that I wouldn't go anywhere. I again reiterated my thoughts on her outfit that day and stressed that it was her decision to make, and that I overstepped my bounds, and I apologized. She told me I didn't need to apologize and that she just got angry for no reason and felt like I was attacking her. I rebutted that I thought she looked very pretty, but that, in my opinion, it was not appropriate for school where she would be harassed by a bunch of teenage boys. She seemed to cheer up after that, and we talked a bit more about other things and what my plans are now. All in all, I'm glad this resolved the way it did. If anything good came out of it, I kicked my own butt in gear in finding a better job. Though I'm just looking locally for the time being and talking to a lot of people. But things are looking up. And NBSP. Reminder, I am not the original poster. I really don't think this is wholesome because this feels really odd and all. I don't think Oop knows how teenage outbursts work. Thotha. I'll take unhealthy codependency for $500 please, Alex. How has Oop pseudo-parented for all these years and not yet realized that kids and teens lash out? Especially at the ones they love the most? I traveled for a couple of weeks with my 16Y niece. When she shouted at me that she hated me, I felt so loved. I knew at that moment she'd accepted me and loves me as much as I love her. She later apologized. I find it a bit hard to believe he actually thought that would go any other way. There's a lot of things that are weird about this post, but in my opinion, Oop sticking around is not one of them. If S was his ex's kid instead of her sister, would we still think it's strange? Or if Oop and his ex had been married? IDK. I think it kind of sucks that step-parents are expected to be a parent to the kids but are shamed when they continue to fill that role after the relationship ends. It's not like Oop can delete the 4 years he spent taking care of her before his ex cheated. Do those not mean something? Even though I find it odd that Oop would stick around in a quasi-co-parenting relationship after his so cheats on him, I guess it works for them. I mean, it was great that Oop remained in that kid's life even after the ex cheated and all. And he's certainly gone above and beyond with the chauffeur services and then buying her a car. Without saying he did it. But to walk away at any sign of a teen lashing out, without having a serious talk with her first, is the worst thing for her. This is the Thornbirds for 15-year-old Reddit boys. There's something weirdly unhinged about the fact that this dude decided to just up and leave after a teenager said that in the middle of a heated conversation. Like, did he think at no time while buying a car, setting it up with the ex, and writing a letter about his feelings? Hey, maybe I should just talk to her about that argument and that hurtful comment and whether she truly wants me to leave? Quote, not a single point? No talk to clear the air? Or at least have the conversation saying goodbye in person? Just penning a letter? I'm not gonna say anything about his involvement in his ex and her sister's life or how Oop handled anything because IDK that's not my place. But I will say that as a little sister I too would get mad at any of my brothers for going back and forth with me about what I'm wearing. Does anybody else think this dude is definitely not neurotypical? Like his girlfriend thinks that he's emotionally checked out. He takes other people's emotional outbursts and face value. He still doesn't seem to realize that other people can say things they don't mean. I hope Oop moves on from this weird stasis he's in. It's very clear to me that almost the entire comments section has no idea what low self-esteem is and what it feels like. Yikes. So he was just going to walk away instead of having an actual conversation? That was a great plan. Damn. My oldest daughter is only 11 and if I just took it at face value and bailed every time she had a hormonal outburst at me I wouldn't have seen her for 2 years now. Dude needs to learn how teenagers work. 16-year-old is irritable, emotionally labile. Film at 11. Ah yes. Let's take a teenager's angry words absolutely literally and decide to leave their lives with a note. It's not like hormonal adolescents learn how to resolve conflict from the examples set by people in their lives or anything. Ghosting family is a super example. This didn't go where I thought to my relief. But I'm not sure it's concluded. I hate to be that Reddit person. But therapy. You get a therapy. You get a therapy.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.